It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me this morning. If this is your first time tuning into this program, this is where we talk about all things real estate. I like to take national, regional, local news, apply that to us here in the Low Country, so that if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or if you just like to stay informed with the housing market, this is the radio show for you. So if at any point in time I can help you with something specifically, I am in the top 1% of agents, have been for the past 6 years in a row. Would love to earn your business if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So feel free to give me a call personally. My phone number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that website, you can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold. Search every property for sale in the MLS. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale, and you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee. Essentially, I'll sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to for that. So happy Halloween. It's Halloween weekend, so I thought it would be appropriate for this next hour or so that we talk about what I'm liking, or what I'm dubbing Nightmare on Main Street. I want to talk about some scary transactions, some horror stories in real estate, some trick and treats along the way. And then I also want to talk a little bit about taxes, the bane of a lot of people's existence. A lot of people are getting their tax bills right now. So I want to talk about that, talk you through some questions you might have, provide you with some information. If you think your tax appraisal is too high, I'm going to tell you how to contest that. So stick around. That'll be at the very end of the program. But let's talk first about when things go wrong in a real estate transaction. How we react to that is how, in my opinion, a good agent separates themselves from a great agent. Handling issues that are going to be, for lack of a better term, a deal killer. So let me kind of back into this a little bit. I was thinking about this morning, and my second year in the business, I had nobody had really taught me this. I just kind of figured things out as I went along. I didn't have as much training as I would like, and I got in the business when I was 21 years old. So by the time I was 24, I was in the top 1% of agents, and I did that by being a student of the market and being as experienced as I could be in as short amount of time as possible, because I was very afraid that people would not take me seriously because I was so young. So I had to be an expert, and I had to be able to deliver value, and I had to know more than the next guy. I had to be more tenacious than the next guy. I had to be more aggressive and had to be more available, and all those things in order to start earning people's business and trust to get to the point where I'm now, where, over the past 2 years, we've sold well over 200 homes. But I remember this one deal that I had my second year in the business, and it was the first time that I dealt with the property where a buyer had to sell their house first. We call that a home sale contingency. So this buyer makes an offer on a listing. I represent the seller, and of course it's contingent upon them selling their home. So I sit down with the seller, we talk through it, and we say, in order for us to consider this contract, we need to know more about the house that you're selling. Is it on the market? Is it not on the market? Is it under contract? If it is under contract, how far along in the process is it? So on and so forth. So after we went back to the agent with a list of questions, we found out, and this is, I've only had this happen one other time in the almost 1,000 transactions that I've represented. There were 3 separate contingency offers in a row. So if you think about it as a stack of dominoes, my client was domino number 4. There was a house for sale that needed to sell and buy, and then sell and buy, and then sell and buy. It was a nightmare, a logistical nightmare. So ultimately, and this is what made it even tougher, the buyer was using 100% financing. So if at any point along the way, from the first domino to the fourth domino, something were to go wrong, this buyer would not be able to sell their house, nor would they have the closing costs they would need because they have very little equity to purchase the property. So it was an extremely risky proposition. Ultimately, the seller decided to move forward with the contract. And I am happy to say that they did get their home sold, and it was a smooth process. Everything worked out the way it should, but it was, in hindsight, knowing what I know now about the market in 2007, 2008, my God, we probably should have just waited for something else to come along, but it all worked out. So, sometimes when you're doing these transactions, you have to think a little bit outside the box, but you also have to ask the tough questions. I'm going to talk a little bit later on in this program about hiring real estate agents. And for a lot of sellers out there, they've been on the market since January, or they've been on the market since early spring or even summer, and their home hasn't sold. And so for a lot of those sellers, they're at a fork in the road, basically. They need to decide whether they're going to continue to market their home for sale with or without their current agent, or if they're just going to take it off the market. Take it off the market, enjoy the holidays, and then worry about it sometime early next year. So what I'm trying to say with regard to this offer that we worked through with the seller, and then, of course, hiring agents in general, is that, you have to ask the tough questions. You have to know what you need to know in order to make an informed decision. That, in my mind, is the agent's responsibility. For a lot of clients out there that I work with, it's the simple saying, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions to ask, and God forbid you think about something after the fact once you're already committed contractually to a buyer or a seller. It's the agent's responsibility to know how to navigate you through that process, especially if it's a deal that's out of the ordinary. I think a lot of agents really shine when you put a complicated transaction in front of them. Their ability to problem solve and represent their client and their best interests, in my mind, is what makes a good agent. Those are the agents that I respect because I appreciate what they're doing for their clients. Regardless of whether they're on my team, in my company, in another company, I respect the agents that do good by their clients by delivering that value. Not to say that I don't respect other agents. It's just that there are some agents that have the ability to represent their clients in such a way that they can truly say to them, hey, I have your best interests at heart. And we're talking, if you're just joining the program, we're talking about kind of nightmare deals and how to get through these deals, the really hard ones. I'll tell you something that happened to me. This was probably 5 years ago. And this story has stuck with me because of how upset I was over this particular transaction. So let me kind of set the stage here. A buyer is purchasing a short sale in Mount Pleasant. They're getting a fantastic deal. They probably bought the house for $50,000 below what it was worth at that particular point in time. And the difference between what they bought it for 5 years ago and what it's worth today is probably $400,000. There's a massive amount of equity that they've gained over the past several years because of that area and how good of a deal they got. So this is what happened. And sometimes in real estate you deal with bullies. Sometimes the bully is the agent, sometimes the bully is the seller, sometimes the bully is the buyer. In this particular instance, this buyer, my client, was a bully. And so we do the final walkthrough of the house. It's a short sale that they're buying. Sellers don't make repairs traditionally on short sales. So we're walking through the house, and this buyer starts to identify all kinds of cosmetic issues that were present at the time of the home inspection. And he says, hey, I want these things fixed. So I explained to him, we had the home inspection. We didn't ask for these items to be repaired. And we're outside of our window contractually to ask for those things to be repaired. He said, well, I don't care. I want them fixed. If they don't get fixed, I'm not going to close. So I said, all right, well, let me talk to the listing agent. Let me see what we can do here. Well, the seller didn't have any money. All right. They don't have the ability to pay their mortgage, which is why they're doing a short sale in the first place. So I had to go back to him and say, hey, the seller's not in a position to make any repairs, and the bank's not going to make any repairs because these sellers have been delinquent for a year and they want to foreclose if this deal doesn't get done. And so the buyer said, and I have not talked to this buyer since, and I have no intentions of doing so, But he said, all right, well, Brian, I want you to pay for all of these repairs, because if you don't pay for these repairs, I don't close, you don't get a commission check, and the seller gets foreclosed on. So if you want that on your conscience, then that's fine. But I think you should pay for these repairs. I was so taken aback, and this all happened over the phone. It was not in person at this point in time. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll call you right back. So I called him back, and I said, you have no contractual right to demand repairs. Furthermore, if you choose not to close, you will be in default of contract, and I'm going to sue you for my commission. The seller's going to sue you, and the listing agent's going to sue you. So you can either accept the fact that there are some issues with this house, which you've already known, and accept the fact that you have $50,000 in equity right now, and you can close, or you can't close, and we will proceed with a lawsuit. It's totally up to you, Mr. Buyer. Well, ultimately, the buyer decided to close, and I didn't pay him a dime, and it's a classic example of someone trying to bully their way through a transaction, and unfortunately, it happens. You know, it's happened to me several times, and sometimes I've had to cave and pay money at closing that I shouldn't have had to pay. Sometimes my clients have had to pay money that they shouldn't have had to pay. But there are bullies out there that will try to push you around, and you really have to have a good understanding of what your rights are contractually, what you can and cannot do. And again, I think it goes back to having an agent that's going to protect you, tell you what could happen if you decide to take a particular route. You know, I'm not here to tell people what to do, by the way. And I always tell my clients that I'm here to advise you at key decision points and to give you my opinion if you want it. But I'm not here to tell you what to do. You're the decision maker. I'm the one that's supposed to provide you with a reasonable understanding and a reasonable set of expectations based on these particular steps that you can and cannot take. So if the way, I'll say it like this, because I've got a few other stories like that, but I also want to tell you some success stories. But there are people out there that will always try to take advantage of you. The agent that you hire has to have a good understanding of what your rights are and what their rights are so that they can navigate you through those really difficult times in your life and transactions. So if there's anything that I can do for you, if you want an agent that's been through all that and can get you through that, then feel free to give me a call. My number is 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And submit your information there. I'd be happy to reach out to you and see if I can earn your business. Take a break. We'll be right back. And when we're going to come back, we're going to talk about selling properties this time of year, buying properties this time of year. It's a stressful time of year. So I want to give you some tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and if you're just joining us, it's Halloween, so I have dubbed this show Nightmare on Main Street. We're talking about nightmare deals, scary stories with regards to real estate. We're going to talk about some good stories and some success stories as well. But if you're just joining us and you want more information about real estate, you're interested in hiring a top agent, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. I've been in the top 1% of agents here since 2009. And would love the opportunity to speak with you and help you in any way, shape, or form. And that could be something as simple as helping you buy, sell, or invest in real estate, or it could just be answering a general knowledge question. I have a ton of people that contact me after hearing this program, and they say, "Hey, Brian, just a quick question for you." They lay it out, I give them an answer, and they move on. So I'm here to provide a service. I'm here to share my experiences with you as somebody that's been doing this for the past decade, and as somebody that sells over 100 homes a year. So I like to share my experiences with you, so that as you listen to this program more and more, you become more informed with the real estate market, and you're better protected, and you're more knowledgeable when it comes time to make a transaction. So again, if there's anything I can do to you, feel free to feel free to give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And you can look at everything that I have for sale, everything I've sold, learn more about me, search the MLS. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale, and you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee, which states that I'll sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. So listingsincharleston.com. So let's continue our discussion about some scary stories and it just being a stressful time of year to sell real estate. You know, that last story that I told you about, that buyer that was purchasing the short sale that basically demanded that I pay for a bunch of repairs on his house. It gives me goosebumps every time I tell that story because of how unreasonable that particular person was. And I would say, you know, the hardest thing about this job, this industry, this career is managing the emotions of people. This time of year is a very stressful time of year for a lot of people. We've got the holidays. Some people really like hanging out with family and they stress out over making their home perfect and it being a perfect experience. Some people do not like hanging out with family. It's a stressful period for them. That's what Jack Daniels is for. But family can cause a lot of stress. This time of year can cause a lot of stress. And so if you're in the position to buy or sell a home right now, emotions are running a little high. It happens this time of year. Obviously, another contributing factor to stress is money. And sometimes money is tight this time of year. You were hoping that at the end of this year, you'd have a little bit more than you did last year. But you've got Thanksgiving to pay for. You have Christmas and the holidays to pay for, presents to buy, taxes to pay, all kinds of bills coming up at the end of the year. And for those of you that want to buy a house and are saving up enough money to do so, sometimes it's a bit of a struggle this time of year. So I perfectly understand that this is a stressful time of year. You know, and a lot of people have worked their butts off all year. They're ready for a break. They're ready to take some time off. So what I want to stress to anybody listening that's in the market to buy or sell a house right now is to not don't make a weak decision at a weak point in time because it's convenient or because it's easier. What I mean by that is don't hire the first agent that you get in contact with because they were there first. It just makes sense that you work with them because they were the first person to answer the phone. That's not the proper way of hiring a real estate agent for your needs. Anytime you hire a real estate agent, you have to interview them. You have to sit down with your significant other, or if it's you yourself, you need to sit down with a drink or do something to calm yourself down and come up with a list of questions based on things that are important to you about the real estate agent that you hire to help you buy or sell a home. And then when you sit down with those agents, because you're going to interview several, you're going to do yourself the justice of hiring an agent based on several interviews so that you can compare and contrast. And then you have peace of mind that you've made the right decision. And then you get to hold the agent accountable to all the things they said they would do for you, because if they don't, you have a backup plan. But don't let this time of year cloud your judgment because the agent that responds first is there and it's just easier to hire them. Do your due diligence and make sure that the agent you hire is the right agent for you. I'll also say that I've seen people take deals that, in my opinion, they should not have taken. And I'm talking about sellers and buyers. But they're allowing the time of year to determine how much they should pay for a home or how much they should accept for a home, and the other factors that contribute to the decision-making process to help buy or sell a home. I am not here to tell people what to do. I'm here to offer advice. I'm here to consult. I'm here to establish reasonable expectations and a goal or a set of steps to accomplish your goals. But if I think a seller is going to accept, 3 to 5% less than what their house is worth, I think it's my duty to tell the seller that, hey, if you want to take this offer, that's great. We'll get it closed and we'll do everything we can to get you moved on. I think you can sell your house for more money. but it's your decision. If it's easier for you to sell right now, then that's up to you guys. I think that the market will bear more for your house, but it's your call. Obviously, it's your call. So it's a stressful time of year. Don't let the deal that comes to you this time of year cloud your judgment and say that, all right, well, I know that it's $20,000 less than what I wanted for my house, but I also wanted to be moved to Jacksonville, Florida before Christmas. So I'm going to go ahead and just take it. You need to determine how important that is to you and how much you're willing to sacrifice in order to accomplish that. So I think it's very important to write down what's important to you and then interview those agents to determine whether or not they're the right fit for you. You know, I had a client this time last year that had their property on the market for about a year with two separate agents, two very good agents, by the way. You know, nothing negative to say about the agents that they hired to sell their home. I'm sure that they interviewed very well. I'm sure they laid out a plan that looked very appealing. At the end of the day, I thought that there were some things that needed to be done to their property in order to increase its curb appeal and just the overall showing when people walk through it. So I said, look, guys, we can continue doing what you're doing. You're not overpriced, but I think that the way that we're marketing this property needs to change. And I also think that if you've had all of those people mention those specific things about your house and the way that it looks, let's go ahead and fix them. Let's stop hearing about that and let's just be proactive and fix it. And we're only talking about like $3,000 worth of stuff, which I say only $3,000 to some people. That's a lot of money. To others, it's a drop in the bucket. But they changed out some carpet and they did some landscaping. And I took over the listing and we sold it in the first 3 weeks. The showings didn't slow down. We didn't change the price. We just changed the way the property looked and the way that it was marketed. And we got the deal done. But they were... To relate that to the story that I've been telling you earlier about how this is a stressful time of year, they gave me a lot of pushback on that because they said, look, Brian, we're busy. It's the holidays and we've got a lot of stuff going on and we just give a credit to the buyer. I don't care. $5,000, $7,000, whatever they want. I just don't want to deal with it. So I said, look, let me coordinate everything. All I need for you to do is sign a check once it's done. I'll get you the quotes. I'll get you all that stuff. We'll get you all set up. I'll manage everything. It's not a big deal. We're just replacing carpet and putting some landscaping in the front of the house. So we did that, and it sold. And so it's a perfect example of kind of pushing things off to the side because it requires time or energy, and you know it should be done, but you just don't do it. So there are a lot of sellers out there that are still on the market, and a lot of them know that there are certain things that they should do to their house, or they know that their agent isn't doing the things that they said they were going to do, or they know that the property doesn't look as good online as it should because the agent took their own photos rather than doing professional photography. Whatever the case might be, this is the time of year where you need to decide whether you're motivated enough to buy or sell something right now, or if you're going to take a break and you're going to talk about it next year. The one thing about waiting until next year, I'm just going to tell you this right now, is that there are more sellers, so there's more inventory for buyers, but there are also more buyers, so there's more competition for more inventory. The next 30 days, in my opinion, is a fantastic time to sell a house because of the fact that all of those sellers that listed in the spring, all of those agreements with their agents have expired because those agreements are typically for 6 months. So we've had a lot of properties come off the market over the past 30 days, and those sellers are determining whether they're motivated enough to stay on the market or they're just going to wait until next year. So the properties that are on the market right now and that will continue to be on the market for the next 3 months are highly motivated sellers. So buyers, if you're looking at property right now, chances are you're working with a highly motivated seller that should give you a good deal, theoretically. Now, sellers, most buyers, same thing for buyers. Most buyers don't take time off during the holidays and sacrifice spending time with the family to go kick tires and dabble in real estate. People that are looking right now are serious, and they're dealing with some very serious logistical issues. You know, do I buy and move in before the end of the year? Do I close the very beginning of next year? Sellers, what sort of tax consequence does that have? So there's a lot going on right now that contributes to the stress associated with the transaction. So for me as an agent, I try to be as unemotional and as stress-free as possible, because if I allow my judgment to be clouded by stress or emotion, then I might at some point in time offer you an opinion based on something emotional rather than factual, rather than data-driven advice. And that's what you're hiring a real estate agent for. You're hiring them to be the third party, to not get caught up in the emotion of it, and to advise you based on current market conditions to get you the best deal possible with the least amount of stress possible. So if there's anything that I can do for you with regard to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, feel free to give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that website, you can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold, search the MLS, and you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee. Click on the Sell Your Home tab, and you'll learn more about that. It basically means that I will sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. Stick around, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some success stories. We're going to lighten the mood a little bit. And then at the very end of our program, we're going to talk about taxes. All these tax bills are coming out. I'm going to help you understand what those mean. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I always like to take a little bit of time, just every episode of this show, to say thank you very much to those of you that tune in and listen to this program. I really appreciate it, and I've had a lot of really good response from people over the past few months, and have helped a lot of people buy and sell real estate directly through this program. So if there's anything that I can do to help you through real estate, whether it be answering a simple question or representing you to buy, sell, or invest in a home, feel free to contact me directly. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, and on that website you can learn more about me and search the MLS. And of course, if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale and the success I've had with that. And you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee, which very simply states that I will sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. We've been talking so far this hour about nightmares with regard to real estate transactions and how it's a very stressful time of year to buy, sell, or invest in something. And so I thought I'd lighten the mood a little bit and kind of tell you the opposite of that, give you some treats, if you will, rather than some tricks. And something happened very recently that I think is worth sharing. There was a buyer that called into our office. He was very upset. And so the buyer agent on my team that fielded the call listened to everything he had to say. And basically the buyer was saying, look, I have spent the past month 8 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday looking at properties online, driving by properties, calling listing agents, calling other agents. I've probably talked to 50 real estate agents, and almost every single real estate agent can't answer my questions. And it's because they don't represent the seller. So they just don't know what the listing agent knows. So are you the listing agent for this property? The buyer agent said, no, but the listing agent's right here. I was the listing agent, of course. I represented the seller. So he transferred this buyer to me, and I started talking with him. And he said, look, I've been looking for the past month. I've probably invested 40 to 50 hours of my own personal time over the past 2 or 3 weeks trying to find real estate. So, I understand that this property you have listed for sale is already under contract. Is that true? I said, yes. He said, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I just can't seem to catch a break. And I said, well, tell me what you're looking for. I mean, have you sat down with a buyer agent to discuss what they can offer you? Or are you only interested in going through listing agents? And he said, I only want to work with the listing agents because they're the only ones that know anything about the properties I'm interested in. And so I said, I appreciate that, sir, but with all due respect, I don't think you're placing enough value on what I, as a buyer agent, can contribute to the process of looking for a home. See, the buyer's issue is that although they have access to all of this information online through Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and whatever else, the only way to be 100% informed on new listings as they hit the market and existing listings as they drop their price is to work with the real estate agent that can send you those notifications from the MLS. He was always playing catch up. He was always behind the eight ball. He was always interested in properties that had already been on the market for, days or weeks. And the ones that are really good, that are priced well, that are in good condition, and that are marketed well, sell fast, sometimes in days. And so he was clearly frustrated. So I said, well, sir, you just told me that you've spent almost 50 hours looking for properties. Based on what you told me you were interested in, I just compiled a list of 12 properties that fit your criteria exactly. Give me your email address and I'll send them to you. So I sent them to him while I was on the phone with him. And this is over the course of maybe 15 minutes. And he's like, wow. Okay. Yeah, these are a lot of really good properties. Thank you very much. Click. He hung up on me. And, we tried calling him back. We tried following up with him for a few weeks and nothing, radio silence. And so I was like, you know what? Whatever. We gave him the properties that he was looking for. If for whatever reason something doesn't work out, I feel confident that he'll call us back. Well, last week he called us back and he said, Brian, what do I need to do? When can we sit down and talk about this process? Because I am tired. I just went through that list that you gave me, and a lot of those properties, they're not even on Zillow or Trulia. But I went to those listing agents and I tried to negotiate deals, and they were no help because they told me they represented the seller and they couldn't truly represent me because they would be a dual agent. The listing agent will represent both the seller and the buyer. So that's not 100% true representation for the seller. And there were 2 multiple offers. And that agent couldn't help him in any way, shape, or form. So I think he finally learned after some very serious trials and tribulations that, yes, there is significant value that a buyer agent can add to the process, but it goes a lot further than just identifying properties. Our 2 main jobs after we find the house that you're interested in are to tell you what it's worth and to help you negotiate the best deal possible and get you through that transaction so that you come out on top. I call it winning. I like to win the deal because I like my clients to get the better deal. I want to negotiate off the price. I want better terms. Other agents know that. They know that I'm a tough negotiator, but you know what? I want what's best for my client, and I'm not here to put my own personal agenda ahead of my client's needs. The commission, when you're selling 100 or more homes a year, as silly as this might sound, the commission is almost irrelevant because you know that you're earning other commissions in other areas. The point is, when you do a good job for somebody and you put their needs ahead of your own personal need for income, the amount of respect that you get from your client and the amount of repeat business you get from them because you did a good job for them is what good businesses are built off of. One good, honest deal at a time. So this buyer, we're working with him right now, and he's probably going to make an offer on something this weekend because we've already been working hard. And I think in my mind it's a really good success story because there are so many people out there that want to do everything themselves, whether it's looking to buy a home or selling it for sale by owner or micromanaging somebody in a business environment, whatever the case might be. You'd be surprised at how much you can accomplish when you allow other people to do work and take credit for that work. I used to be a single agent and I was doing 50, 60 deals a year and I just could not do any more. And my wife and I wanted to have a kid. And I said, look, something's got to change because I'm working every day and I'm literally working from 7 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, sometimes later. That was honestly my schedule for years. And there are still plenty of days during the week, as much as my wife doesn't appreciate it, she understands it. But I'll wake up. I'm up at 6 o'clock. And when I come home at around 5, assuming I don't have an afternoon appointment, I'm still on the phone. I'm still on my phone doing my emails and my texts and staying in touch with people. And quite honestly, I don't mind because I like representing people and their best interests. And if they have a question and if I'm available and I can answer it, it's just what I do. And there are also plenty of times where I said, look, today is family time. And I let my clients know that ahead of time. Say, hey, today is, I'm going out to dinner with my wife and kid. And, it's just, I'm not going to be available this evening. And assuming we're not negotiating an offer, then most people respect that. So anyways, I do have one more good success story to tell, and that's the story of selling my own home. And I'm going to very briefly go over that when we return, but I'm also going to touch on the tax bills that you've received in the mail and what you need to know about your taxes. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Only a few minutes left as we finish our program here, talking about all things housing in the Low Country. If there are any questions you have, or if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or if you just have a general knowledge question, or if you're looking to get an appraisal on your home, anything that I can do to help you out from a real estate perspective, feel free to give me a call personally. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And you can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold, search the MLS. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab, and you can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. So we've been talking a lot this hour about success stories and horror stories in real estate, which is appropriate since it's Halloween. And I do have one more quick story to tell, and that's the story of selling my own house, which I did earlier in the year. And I won't draw it out, but I will say that I put myself in the shoes of your everyday seller. I sell a lot of listings that we sell over 100 homes a year. And my role as a listing agent is to help the seller put their home in a condition such that as buyers walk through it, they don't look at it and say, well, this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and this needs to happen. And because of all of that, I'm going to offer them much less. My goal is to this is what I do for sellers. I walk through every single room and I say, this is what you can do. This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. And sometimes there is nothing for the person to do. Sometimes it's as easy as just putting some fresh flowers out and maybe lighting a candle here or there because their home is already so nice. Other people need a lot of work. They need staging. They need decluttering. They need repairs done, paint, whatever the case might be. I go through that whole list with them. So I had to take my advice and apply it to my own home. And the one thing that we really needed to work on was just some better curb appeal. Our backyard is beautiful, or it was beautiful because we sold it. But we had a lot going on in the front yard, so I needed to declutter. And so I got out there, and it took me 2 weekends, almost all weekend, to get the yard the way I wanted it. And I just remember, I can remember verbatim one Sunday afternoon, sweating my tail off going, God, this sucks. And, is this what you put your clients through, Brian? Jeez. But you know what? I did it because it needed to be done. And we had 30 showings in 2 weeks, several offers, sold it for the highest price per square foot of any other home that had sold in my previous neighborhood comparable to mine. We had literally thousands of people click on the property. I think we had almost 30,000 clicks on our property in the first 3 weeks. That is a massive amount of online traffic. But I did basically a test on my own home based on everything that I tell sellers to do for their own properties. I did all the online marketing that I normally do. I did all the things to the house that needed to be done. I woke up every day and made my bed and, put the dishes in the dishwasher and, wiped the floors down. I did everything I needed to do to make that house look as good as it possibly could. And it sold very fast. And it wasn't priced low. Frankly, I thought it was priced high, but a buyer paid it. And it's because of all those extra things that I did to create value in the eyes of the buyer. So if you're thinking about selling your house, or if you've had trouble selling your home and you're at a point in time where you need to decide what to do, you're either motivated enough to stay on the market and maybe you hire another agent to help you with this process, or you say, you know what, it's not really that vital that I sell my home this year. I'll just wait until next year. Whatever the case might be, let's have a conversation first. Let me learn more about what was done and not done from a marketing perspective. What kind of condition is your home in? What were you personally doing to make each individual showing count? Let's just have a conversation about that. So if I can help you with that, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. As I said, I sell over 100 homes a year here in Charleston, and over 60% of the listings I sell were previously listed with other real estate agents. So we have a track record of going in and taking over properties and applying our marketing and it getting the job done. So feel free to call me at 843-345-1273 or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, and click on the contact page, put in your information and your address, and I'll reach out to you and answer any questions you might have. All right, so last thing before we call it quits for this weekend is I want to talk very quickly about your tax bill. A lot of people are getting their tax bills right now, and there are certain things you need to know to make sure that you're not paying more than you should in taxes. The first thing you need to know is whether you're being assessed at a 4% or a 6% assessment ratio. If it's your primary residence, then it should be assessed at a 4% assessment ratio. So if you're looking at your tax bill and it's higher than it should be, look to see if it's assessed at 6%. Anybody that bought a home recently needs to understand that taxes are automatically reset to 6%. You have to apply for your home to be assessed at 4%. So if you've bought a home and you haven't sent in your documentation to get the primary residence 4% tax rate, you need to do it now. So that's something to take into consideration. Is number one, determine whether or not you're assessed at a 4 or 6% assessment ratio. Number two, look at the appraised value. If the appraised value is a lot higher than you think your property is worth, then guess what? You're paying more in taxes than you should. You have the ability to contest that value by doing something very, very simple. You contact the assessor's office in your county and you write them a letter. You can't email them. You can't call them. You have to write a letter. And that letter has to say 3 things on it. It has to identify the property in question, preferably by using something called the parcel ID number, the tax map number. It's right there on your tax bill. So that's number one. You have to identify the address. Number two, it has to have an original signature. Nothing can be electronic. You have to sign it. And then number three, you have to put your phone number on there. Write a little snippet that says, I believe my home is being assessed at a higher value than fair market value, and I'd like to contest this appraisal. They will contact you. And while you're waiting for them to contact you, you need to contact a real estate agent or an appraiser to determine the fair market value of your house. So if you're interested in lowering your taxes or finding out what your property is worth right now, go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, click on the contact page, give me your address, tell me a little bit about your house, and I will tell you what your house is worth within 2 or 3 percentage points just based on what I can do on the MLS. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to if you want to have a chance at reducing your taxes and you want a CMA, no cost, no obligation on my end. But that's a very helpful tool for a lot of people, and happy to do it. That's what I'm here for. Here's to provide a service in return for, at some point in time, the opportunity to earn your business. So 843-345-1273 is my phone number. And the website address, again, is listingsincharleston.com. Go there and submit your information or click on the Sell Your Home tab to learn more about what I do to sell my homes and my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. Thanks again, Charleston. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And I'll catch you next time on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.